So today we have with us Miss Silvia Mintz, and we are in her law office. And let me begin by asking Silvia for the archival record. Could you please state your full name, your date of birth, and the specific place where you were born?
Yes. So my name is Silvia Mintz. I was born in Quetzaltenango, Guatemala, in February 24, 1974.
Okay. When did you think of your parents, or when you think of your parents in your early childhood in Guatemala? What are the sights or sounds that come to your mind?
I had very loving parents. My dad is the one that really instilled on me the love of reading. He used to buy books for me about the history of Guatemala, and every time I think about my dad, I remember those times when he would bring me a book and give it to me. I didn't realize what he was doing because he would give me the book, and then later on he would talk about the book when we were eating and ask me what did I think about the book and make me talk about it and analyze it. And I did that since when I was little. Then of course I remember my mom with the food. My mom's love language was food. She will cook and feed us and make sure that we always had food. And that's what I remember the most. Now, I grew up in Quetzaltenango when the streets in front of my house were dirt streets, and we used to go out and play. I grew up playing in between the corn and apples and all of that was being harvested. And those are really good memories that I have of my childhood.
Now, as a teenager, did you ever imagine that your life would lead you to become an attorney, or did you have a different dream back then?
Well, I had several dreams, but I was growing up in Guatemala, so I never imagined that my life was going to end up as it is now. I have the opportunity to be a lawyer in one of the largest cities in the United States, and to be recognized as one of the most influential immigration attorneys in the city is really something that is humbling and that it never crossed my mind before.
What do you remember about your teenage years?
I had teenage years like many of us did. Like I wanted to have fun. I wanted to discover things. I was curious. I had a lot of friends. I really have always been very social. I was going to school at a Catholic school, all girls school. And I remember, of course, the leaders of the school, the nuns, and it was some interesting times too, because when I grew up there was not much technology, so the world wasn't as connected as it is now, right? I can count with my fingers the amount of movies that I saw in the movie theater, because back then there were 2 movie theaters in my city, and the movies will take forever to get there. So my teenage years were mostly of being outside with my friends.
Mm-hmm. So, what was the final catalyst that made you decide to leave your home in Guatemala and move to the United States?
I have always been curious. I have always been kind of revolutionary, like in a way. I had my daughter when I was 18, my daughter Maria. I really wanted to expand my future and to give better opportunities for Maria. Um, in my town, it is still, in all of our Latin countries, sadly, it's hard to grow. It takes a lot of, and it's not even the effort, because you might be the most qualified person, but it's really hard to be able to develop your professional career and to do something good. So I really wanted to give a better life to my daughter. My older brother was here in the United States, in Houston, and I decided to come. I came, and it was scary and it was difficult, but I don't think that things that are worth in life are easy. So at the beginning, when I came, my parents were afraid for me to bring my daughter. Because it was to a different country, a different world of what we knew. So the first year that I came, Maria didn't come with me. Maria stayed with my parents. And I came, and I was working as a maid in one of in a building. That's where I started working, and back then the minimum wage was $4.75 an hour, and that's what I was making. But it wasn't enough to save, because I wanted to save to go back to Guatemala or to do something for my daughter. So I found another job, and I worked like from 8 to 5 in one place, and then from 5:30 to 10 in another place, cleaning buildings, and those were my first jobs.
Mm-hmm. And when did you bring your daughter?
So after a year or a little bit more of working there, I fell in love. And I fell in love with the postal. My ex-husband he used to be the letter carrier that will come to the building where I clean, and that's how we met. And then my intentions changed, because originally I was gonna save money and go back to Guatemala. I think many immigrants come with that dream, to save money, to be here for a little while, and then go back to your country to do something. But then my intentions changed. I talked to my parents about my daughter coming. I got married, and my daughter came probably 6 months later, so a year and a half afterwards. And she came to the first grade. Maria came to the first grade. She was here in bilingual school until the 4th grade. And, it was a very challenging time for her to get used to it, but she was so happy to be with me, and I was happy to be with her. By then, I was already working as a nanny. When I was working as a maid, I learned my first words in English, because that's another thing. I had to kind of start learning English, and I will never forget that the very first words in English were Windex and map. That's what the first words I learned. And I always remember, because I never went to formal school to learn English, and one day I went to ask the manager of the building, do you have any nasty dishes to wash? And she's like, nasty dishes? Dirty dishes, Silvia. So like I was learning like that. Then when I started working as a nanny, that's when I really did learn more English with the baby books. So those baby books, when I was taking care of a 3 days old. The baby, when I became a nanny, the baby came from the hospital with his mom, and it was given to me, and I was the nanny. And with the books of A for Apple and O for Orange and all those books. That's how I learned English. I started to read. And Maria used to go with me to work when she was off from school, or on the weekends when I worked the weekends. I was working as a nanny, and then I was cleaning some houses. You know, it was the lady that I worked as a nanny for, the one that was really kind and that saw something on me. Because she's the one that say one day, you know, Silvia, you're great with my kids, but what are you gonna do after my kids grow? Like, you need to do something different. You are really intelligent. And she brought me a catalog for Houston Community College. And that's when everything started.
And how old were you when you moved to the United States?
I was 25.
And how old was your daughter when you brought her over?
She was about to be 7.
About 7?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, tell us about when you decided to go to school.
So, my boss brought me this catalog for the Houston Community College, and she said, why don't you do something, a certification? So I was really nervous because I hadn't had any formal training in English. So I went and I took the placement test, which is a great opportunity for all the students to be able to go to college. I took the placement test, and I was placed in remedial English, remedial math, and at the college level on reading, because I was reading books. That's how I learned English. So I started going to school thinking that I was going to be a paralegal, because there was like a 6 months program. And I enrolled at Houston Community College. When I enrolled at Houston Community College, and they say, well, you know, the classes are going to be downtown. And back then, to me, downtown was something like really foreign. And I had to come to downtown at night, and I was afraid to come out because I didn't drive far. So I switched my degree to do a 2-year associate in human resources management, because that was close by. So I switched my degree. I did my 2-year human resources management, but since I had never had formal training on English, I used to read and read and read. So because I used to read a lot, I got 100s on my classes. I got A's, and I was invited to the Honor Society. And I think that was really key, because in the Honor Society I had this professor who is a history professor. She's a German woman that is very strong, and she used to take me places. And she used to say, okay, we need to go to this seminar, or we need to go to this, or you need to go to this lecture. And she forced me also to speak in public. And I say, well, I don't even know to speak English very well. How can I speak in public? And she said, you will never learn if you don't try. So she pushed me. And that opened up my views of what I could achieve. So I was working as a nanny and going to school full time. When I finished my human resources management associate, this professor asked me, what are you going to do next? I said, well, now I'm going to find a job in HR, doing something like a clerk or something, because I'm not going to work as a nanny anymore. And she said, well, no, you should keep on going to school. You should go do your 4-year degree. At that time, I was like, you know, I'm working full time, taking care of Maria, and going to school full time. I don't know that I can do it anymore. And she said, you've been doing it, keep on doing it. So I applied. I applied to the University of St. Thomas, and I got a scholarship to the University of St. Thomas, and I started going to school. I graduated magna cum laude from the University of St. Thomas with a political science degree. And then I was learning or perfecting my English by listening to the public radio, by reading newspapers in English, by reading books in English. And I graduated from the University of St. Thomas. Maria was still going to school. I was working as a nanny. And when I finished my bachelor's degree, I went to speak to the director of the political science department to ask him how I could do the teaching certificate. I wanted to become a teacher. And I went and I'm like, Dr. Taylor, what can I do to do my teacher's certificate? And he asked me, why do you want to do that for? And I said, well, I've been working as a nanny. And they knew because I used to come from work to school and they could see my clothes and everything. And I say, I'm not going to work as a nanny anymore. I want to go teach. And he say, you should go to law school. You have a great personality, you are really studious, you will do great in law school. And if you go to law school, you can teach if you want to, you can practice, you can work for it. That degree is very flexible. So I say, I've been going to school for so long and I was supposed to go only for 6 months. And he say, do it. It's really easy. It's easy to go into law school and then you are going to have a career that is very flexible. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I'm glad I didn't, because if I had known, probably I would have said no, because I would have been afraid. So I say, what is it that I need to do? He said, well, you need to write an essay, get some letters of recommendation. I'm going to give you one, and take a test. I said, okay. So I went. And I was working at my nanny job, and by then it was a different boss, and the gentleman was making his coffee and he asked me, okay, Silvia, so now that you finished your undergrad, what are you doing? I think he wanted to make sure he had nanny for a while, and I said, well, I'm gonna go to law school. I never forget that he put his cup down on the counter and he said, you're what? I said, I'm going to law school, I'm gonna be a lawyer. And he said, do you realize how hard it is? I say, no, it's not hard. All you have to do is take a test, write an essay, and get letters of recommendation. And I already have one letter. So he say, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to pay for your preparation exam for the exam. I say, okay, thank you. So then my professor from HCC, the lady that pushed me all along, she wrote a letter of recommendation. The department chair wrote another letter, and my boss from my nanny job wrote another letter. I took the LSAT, I wrote my essay, and I got admitted into South Texas College of Law. By then, I still didn't know until I opened the letter that said that it was like over 2,600 applicants. I was chosen as one of the 400. That's when I realized that it was really not that easy to get into law school, that I could have been denied. So I started going to law school. By then I couldn't work as a nanny anymore because in law school you have to be there full time during the day. You don't have the flexibility to take classes at night or the weekend. So I started working at the school library. And I used to work at the school library part-time and go to school full-time. Maria, my daughter, by then she was already in high school. Some of my friends will teach her with math and with her homework when she would come to the library while I was working. She got to know many of my professors. I graduated from the South Texas College of Law in 2008, and Maria graduated from high school back then. She went to the University of St. Thomas, she went to South Texas College of Law, she became a lawyer, she went to Georgetown for an LLM in tax, because when she was little and she had just come to the United States, she had heard about Georgetown, and that was her dream school. So finally, at the end, she went to Georgetown to do a specialization in tax, and now she's a lawyer too.
Incredible. What year did you graduate from law school?
I graduated in 2008.
2008.
Yes.
Did you know what field you wanted to practice?
So, since I was in the University of St. Thomas, I was always involved in social justice issues. I have always been drawn to that, to the fight for social justice. So, when I was at the University of St. Thomas, I was the student representative for the Social Justice Committee. I got to meet wonderful people, Maria Jimenez, and many leaders in the social justice realm. And I was already involved, like I will volunteer with the Naleo citizenship workshops. I will go volunteer as an interpreter. I already knew that I wanted to help immigrants. I had gone through the process myself, and I had so many friends. You know, when my daughter was in school, I was involved in the PTO. I was involved with many moms in the school, and I will know the plight of so many people. So when I went to law school, I already knew that I wanted to practice immigration law to help people. So I graduated from law school, and you know, not only I graduated from law school, I did something that within lawyers is kind of something that is not common. When I was on my last year of law school, in the fall of that last year, I was talking to a librarian and I was telling her, you know, I don't know what to do, because the bar exam, you take it after you graduate, and then you have to wait until November to get your results, and nobody wants to hire you because nobody knows if you have a license or not until November. And I was talking to the librarian and I said, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I cannot be without working. I need to work. I need to support Maria. And she said, you know, there is something that you can do, but not many people do it because it's really hard. You can take the bar exam in your last semester of law school, even if you haven't finished law school. So I prepared. So in December of that year, and December, January, and February, I studied for the bar. I took the bar in February, in my last semester of law school. So when I graduated in May, I already was licensed because I had already passed the exam. And that's like, not every lawyer does that. In my class, I think it was 2 or 3 people that we did that out of more than 400. And so I was able to start practicing. I began practicing as soon as I got my license. I got my license in July because the state bar had to wait for the school to certify that I finished the last semester. And I started practicing immigration law, and I have had my office since then, since 2008, practicing immigration law. At least 25% of my practice is pro bono, which is, you know, I do work for free for people who need it. And then I have another percentage where I charge at least half of my fees based on the need of the people. So my goal has always been to help my people, to make sure that people have access to justice, even if they don't have the money to do.
Okay. Now let's go to civic. I think you're incredibly active in organizations like Precinct 2, Together, and the HCC Foundation. And on these boards, how does this allow you to help people in ways that a courtroom can't?
Yes, you know, in the courtroom you can help people, in the legal way you can help people, but people need also access to quality of life, right? Quality of life. And I understand that. You know, I come from making minimum wage and struggling to find things to do for my daughter during the summer, you know, that were affordable. So I have been involved with several boards through the years. I have been involved with Children at Risk on the legal committee board. I have been involved with Houston Community College. I am on the board of Precinct Together. And, you know, these are organizations that really do things for the community. and that really are involved in the community. So, like for example, Precinct Together provides these summer camps for kids that couldn't afford summer camps any other way. You know, the parks are getting these improvements and these things that programs for kids that don't have any other access to that. So I really like volunteering and giving to those organizations because I know that I've been there. I've been the mom that doesn't have money to do something for her daughter, but doesn't want her daughter to be wasting her time. So I think all of these organizations are very valuable for our community, and that we all have the duty to provide and to help and to get involved with the community that we live in.
Are you involved in the HBA night court?
You know, I had a period of my life where I was an actress. I became involved with HBA Night Court. I was part of it for 2 or 3 years. You know, Night Court is a great organization. It's a non-profit. So what they do is a group of lawyers put together a play that is actually professionally made, and all the actors, all the people who make these sets are lawyers, and then the performances are usually at the Hobby Center for 3 or 4 days, and I have done it before, and it was a really rewarding experience, and it was very fun not only to do, but for the people who came, and we raised money for non-profits. You know, Congresswoman Silvia Garcia was part of Night Court in the time that I was there. Some of the judges back then, the Fifth Circuit Judge Jennifer Elrod was part of Night Court too. So a lot of people, a lot of lawyers come together and in community provide do the play, provide the help with the sets and everything, and raise money for causes that really help the community.
Mm-hmm. Sylvia, in 2010, you ran for Texas House Representative. That was only 2 years after you got your law degree. What motivated you to do that?
So, I being involved with social justice issues, and I love politics. I being involved in politics even before becoming a U.S. citizen. I support their campaigns. I think that it's very important for our community to get involved, to understand, and to participate. So when I just came to the United States, I didn't understand why here there are elections every day, almost every month of the year, every year. For example, in Guatemala, elections are every 4 years. Judges are not elected. Like the school board is not elected. So I just to see the signs, and I never understood. So then I understood that, you know, judges are elected, the school board is elected, everything, the commissioners are elected. So I became involved in politics because I wanted to make sure, and that's still something that I strive to do every day, to make sure that my community understands the political system here. Because I think that if we understand the political system, then we will get involved. You know, so in 2010, I ran for State Representative 132 in Katy, Republican district. I ran as a Democrat, but the idea was really to inspire the Latinos that were there. You know, there are many Latinos in that area that never voted, and I went door by door to knock into every door, and many say never a candidate had come and knock in my door to say hello. So I ran hoping that I will motivate other people to participate and to run or to vote at least.
So, as the chair of the Houston area Tejano Democrats, what is your vision for Latino vote in 2026?
So I was the president of the Texas Democratic Women last year. I'm the immediate past president right now. And, our goal has been to be more inclusive and to create more alliances with different areas of the community. Women sometimes don't participate enough. Sometimes Latino women don't want to participate because they are busy with other things. And the goal of the Texas Democratic Women during my time as president and now is to increase the amount of participation from women from every side of, from every culture, from every ethnicity, and to really create this community and this coalition also with the black and brown community, because sadly we have always been placed like to think that we have to compete. We don't have to compete. We can unite and work, because at the end of the day we all want the same. We all want safe communities. We want good future for our families, good schools. So that has been the goal of the Texas Democratic Women when I was president and now.
Silvia, you mentioned that your daughter's an attorney, and that's a powerful thing to see the legacy continue. And when you see her practicing law today, do you see the same fire in her that you had when you started?
I have accomplished a lot here, and I have gone from being a janitor and a maid to being a lawyer, and I have participated so much in the community. But my biggest accomplishment and the thing that really fills me is to see Maria as a lawyer, as an accomplished woman on her own, really doing what she loves and always remembering where she came from. So that is what fills me, is really the most important achievement I have, is to have raised a wonderful daughter. And I have a 13-year-old son who is a very good boy that is on his way to hopefully be a good person in society that will always remember that we have a duty with the community.
What do you want your permanent legacy in Houston to be? And when people visit this LEAP website and see the interviews years from now, what do you want them to take away from your story?
Well, I would like, for the immigrant people, the people who come here with dreams and, without knowing anybody and scared and thinking, well, how I'm going to open doors, to really take my story and see themselves into it, and hopefully, motivate to aspire to do more, and to believe that it's possible. There is no magic potion, there is no magic recipe. It's just discipline, understanding that it's hard, but at the end it's worth it. And hopefully people will be inspired and realize that it's possible, that even if you think that it's impossible, this country is a country of opportunities. Houston is the best city you can be as an immigrant, and I hope that people will really work towards their dreams by being disciplined, by taking advantage, and never thinking that they cannot do it. And of course, taking advantage of every opportunity that there is. We are lucky to have, like the community college, so many opportunities to advance, and I hope that people take that as some inspiration, or at least to realize that you can actually achieve more than what you can think if you are disciplined, you persevere, and you always think about your family, because at the end of the day, I think we all do efforts and we try to strive to do the best so that our families have better lives.
I think you answered my last question, and that is, but add more if you please. To the young people watching this who are currently working a job like the ones you started with, what is your Windex to law firm message to them?
You know, my message to everybody who is working in jobs, that there is nothing wrong with being a janitor, there is nothing wrong with being a maid, but you can always aspire to have a job that gives you better opportunities, that opens doors for your kids, that allows you to provide better for your family. So my message is to, don't give up, because it wasn't easy. It's long nights, struggling because you don't have enough money. Many times I thought, if I stop going to school, I can have 2 jobs and I will make more money. But then I myself will think, if I do that, I will always have 2 jobs and I will never be able to make enough or to do more. So don't give up. If you are in school, stick to it. If you are not in school, start exploring opportunities that will better your life. And don't give up. Believe in yourself, because that's another thing. Like, you have to believe in yourself, and you need to be constant. And even when the road gets hard, you need to keep on pushing, because at the end of the day, it will be worth it. It is worth it.
Silvia, do you love your job?
I love my job. I love the opportunity to serve people. I love my job because, being a lawyer also gives you credibility. It allows you to really speak up for people who don't have anybody else to speak up for them, even with small things, even to help people who are losing their house, that are being evicted, people who are struggling because they are being threatened because they don't have papers. Like, you can speak up, you can fight for them, and I love the ability to help and to really, get involved with the community. And of course, I love my job because thanks to my job, I can also give to some organizations that are meaningful, be involved and volunteer, and of course, teach my kids that everything is possible.
Okay. Silvia, do you have any other parting words? Or
I want to thank the opportunity for this interview. I don't think my life is special, but I do think that the story of my life can inspire some people to take that leap, even if you're old. Because when I graduated from law school, I was already old compared to the normal path, but it doesn't matter. It might be that your way to your full potential is not a straight line. It might be curvy, but don't despair. Take the curvy line and go there and achieve your dreams.
okay. Thank you very much. This has been Silvia Mintz, lawyer in the East End, activist, and very, very involved in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.